I'm Katrina Wright. I'm a pro bodybuilder. I haven't competed in a few years though. I guess my first competition was in 2018. I did the Fidel Clark Classic. I kind of always had an interest in bodybuilding, but I liked the fitness aspect of it. Obviously why I wanted to fitness. But I competed there. I did figure and fitness, and I won both those classes, and that qualified me for the Toronto Pro Qualifier. And that would have been just a few months later. And then that's when I won my pro card at my second show, which I was super happy about that. It was just the routine portion of it. Then I don't believe they have the posing incorporated to qualify for your pro card. It's still just the routine. But then after you get your pro card, you have to do the figure round and then the routine round. So I've had to do that since as a pro bodybuilder. So that would have been, 2018. My first show, my second show, got my pro card. It was super exciting. And then I guess it would have been an entire year later. I took a year to just train, kind of get in tune with it. And then I picked Tampa Pro as my pro debut show. I didn't realize it at the time that was a big show. But I just went for it. I just coached myself as well too. So my background is actually, I was a gymnastics coach for a really long time, and I competed internationally on the Canadian aerobic gymnastics team. So a very, very vigorous background in gymnastics. So that's kind of where I got all that from. So I was able to really coach myself through that and build routines. That's probably my favorite part of bodybuilding, was actually just making the routines, kind of putting yourself into it. So that time around with the Tampa Pro, I utilized the movies Split and Unbreakable, if you've seen any of those.
I've seen Split.
I really was into that franchise at that time, and I was like, I'm going to use that for my routine. So I was like all three of the characters from, it wouldn't have been Split. The third, Mr. Glass, or was it Glass? I think it's Glass, where I was all three characters in my routine. I like to make it very artsy, I guess you'd say, but go through all the characters. So I was really excited to debut that, because I was more of a ninja in my previous routines. So I did that for my Tampa Pro, and it went amazingly. Aside from the travel struggles to get down there, that was my first real time just completely on my own, traveling. 16-hour flight delay, and missed the athletes meeting. I thought I wasn't going to get to compete. It was my big pro debut, and I was just on my own, and then got down there, made it, got my luggage back, got my whole costume and everything, and then got to compete. And then I placed third place at my very first pro show, which I was over the moon about. I made a good impression. Actually, I did an interview after that, and then it would have been 3 months later. After that show, I had a few coaches reach out to me, because I'd just been on my own. So they were wanting to work with me, and I was very honored about that. And I ended up working with Jack's Physique. I worked with him leading up to the Montreal Natural Pro show. And that would have been, 2019. So 3 or 4 months later, I did that pro show, and then I placed fourth place there. So I was kind of trying to get some points in for, obviously Olympia was the big thing to work towards. And then the points kind of reset at that point, and then you kind of start over. And I wanted to qualify, or I applied for the Arnold's, but didn't get to go for that one. And then COVID happened. And I haven't touched much on the bodybuilding since then. I kind of was in it for the first year, but then there were so many cancellations and so many shows not happening. So I haven't dipped into that since, really. But
Are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. Did it seem to you like it was almost just let's just see what happens. Let's just see how it goes. We're taking this thing one step at a time, and whatever happens, we're just here for kind
Oh
of
yeah.
the journey of it.
Yeah, it was very much like a whirlwind, I would say. Because like my only experience was like me going into like my very first show, there's not a lot of people, and then you go into the pro qualifier, there's definitely a lot more people watching, a bigger venue and everything. But I'm still just like guiding myself through it and figuring it out as I go. So then going to my the first pro show, I was like, I don't know what they're like, how strict they are. Like, I'm missing this meeting. Who do I even get in contact with? He's like, I need to give them my music for my routine. I need to say, like, I'm actually here and I'm going to compete. So I got a hold of them the next morning and I was like, I'm here. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's nothing I could do about it. And they were great about it. So it took all of that stress and everything off my shoulders for a little bit. Um, but yeah, it was definitely like a huge meltdown when I got there. I was like, okay, get it together. We're gonna sort this out, figure it out. We're just gonna get on stage and make it. It was good.
To what degree did like the physique side, like did it was it fun for you at all? Was that fun for you at all, or is it more just the routine? Were you just trying to get through the physique thing?
So, I mean, training prior to that or before me ever even considering competing, like I enjoyed training like bodybuilding style. I actually really liked it and I liked like getting to put on size. I wasn't a little twig anymore and like seeing that definition. I definitely liked that. But I have a great passion for like the routine aspect of it. So obviously when I found out like there's a fitness division, I was like, okay, I can have the best of both worlds. I can work on my physique, which it was hard figuring out the balance initially with the training between like obviously a lot of volume, a lot of reps, having to get all that training done. But then I also need to get all my gymnastic skills and all of that in. So that was a hard tussle to figure out. And then obviously like enjoying the routine aspect of it more, like at least that kind of drove me through and kept me through. So that's definitely like what drove me into it is like getting to do gymnastics again. Because it had been yeah, I've been retired for quite a few years and I enjoyed doing it and I'd gotten a lot stronger from training and stuff. So I got better skills, cooler skills, and I got to pretty much create a routine of like whatever I want with a few of those guidelines and necessary skills that had to be in it. So there's definitely artistic freedom, I guess. So
Hmm.
I got to enjoy that. But I definitely enjoyed like the bodybuilding aspect of it and building up. It was just probably a mentally holding myself back on getting big. I mean, I never decided to do any supplementation or take anything. I was like, I'm just gonna ride this out. My routine can do this, you know? So but
So,
yeah, I definitely enjoyed it, both aspects of it.
and with your background in gymnastics, I mean, do you feel like that there was some sort of like value that you had because you kind of knew how to, in some senses, like manage your energy or like know what a certain routine was going to kind of feel like before you did it?
Definitely. So, like, my background was aerobic gymnastics. So, I know a lot of the girls that came from like cheerleading, it was usually artistic gymnastics. So, they have a lot of different elements in that versus mine was strictly just a floor-based gymnastics. So, it actually, like, pretty well is hand in hand what fitness is, which I was pretty lucky that way. Like the skills, the mandatory skills that they require in fitness is like a hold, a split, like a flip or a jump, some sort of stable holding, like a handstand, something like that. And it's the same kind of construct in aerobic gymnastics as you have like your four set genres of skills that you have to pick from in your routine, and the rest of it needs to be smooth, decisive, very effortless looking. So like that's why like for me to transition into this, it was pretty much the same thing. It's just I got to have fun with it more and be less constructive. Versus I find with a lot of the gymnastics girls, or artistic is like they have a lot of these great skills, but then they're learning how to build a routine out of it, right? I guess it's just, yeah, it depends on the background. So they have to learn like how to put this together, this make it look smooth versus like the dancers. If you're a dancing background, like it looks very smooth, but they have to learn the harder skills. Lucky to be a mix of the both already. So getting into that was easy. And like I trained at a very high level because I was on the Canadian aerobic team. So like you were trained decisively how to condition yourself to do this high pace routine on a stage in front of everyone, like be ready for it and don't be out of breath kind of thing. So I had all that training background and I also had the coaching ability for it too. So like I was just fully prepared in any way, shape, or form for that, which was great. The only thing like obviously to account for was like the conditioning. Like you would get fatigued near the end, but I tried to approach it in a way that like there's only so much you can sacrifice before like your routine and like the quality of it kind of gives way, right? So it was very balance out where you're gonna give too much to take too much from
Mm.
something that's worth 3 points of or 2/3 of your total, right? So
Are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. The Weight Room Podcast is thrilled to announce our new sponsor, Prime Science. They're leaders in harnessing scientific research to revolutionize your fitness journey. With a firm foundation in the latest health sciences, Prime Science offers innovative products to help you achieve and surpass your fitness and health goals. These tools are more than just accessories. They're the result of rigorous scientific research aimed at optimizing your health. Dive deeper into how you can transform your approach to fitness at primescience.co.uk. Trust me, with Prime Science, you're in scientifically sound hands. I guess doing what you did with the aerobic, what like I'm trying to picture, is that something that I'm gonna see like on TV ever, or like what's the one that people associate with like the square mat and you're doing the flips and you're trying not to like which one is that one?
so the one that everyone associates with gymnastics or that is the most familiar or the most popular,
Mm-hmm.
at least to our eyes, the Olympics is the artistic gymnastics. So that's your floor, beam, bars, and vault.
Okay.
And then the other one that secondhand that a lot of people are familiar with that's also in the Olympics is the rhythmic. That one's just the floor, but that's the one where they toss like the ribbon or the ball. And then there's the third genre, which is aerobic gymnastics, which is what I did. So that one is a floor routine on a hardwood sprung floor.
Interesting. I'll
So
have to look into
similar
that.
surface to what you would be competing in like bodybuilding. Half the time it was a hardwood floor. No spring. If you were lucky, it was more matted or like a surface that had a little bit of break to it. But
Very interesting. So you mentioned and I never thought about it, but people who have like a background in some sort of presentation sport to where like it matters what it looks like, not just the outcome. In fitness, like that's a big thing too, right? Because it's not just about like did you achieve the mandatory things? It's how did this whole thing look and how did you look doing it? Did you find it challenging? And you kind of mentioned it there with like a trade-off of energy and like trying to figure out where you need to almost like do what you can do and when you can do it versus what you can't do and when you can't do it. But like how much of that carried over from gymnastics to fitness, just being able to suffer but with a smile, I guess, in a way.
So in aerobic gymnastics, that was actually part of your scoring is you had to smile through your routine and you had to actually have a presentation. So I was trained to like smile at the judges, smile, smile. And as soon as you had a transition point where you were facing the back, that's when you can breathe. And like you had to focus on like actually breathing to get through the rest of your routine. So like that again was something that I had trained for a long time is like, okay, you had to train into your routine like when I'm going to be breathing hard and preparing for okay, this like last quarter of my routine where I have maybe a big skill or something to finish off. Um yeah, no, I was very lucky that I knew how to navigate through all that. The only thing that that was more difficult, like and nobody would be prepared for that, is like obviously being in prep on a deficit where you're lean, not much to you, and like that's where you had to draw the line on where, yeah, you need to eat before you do a routine, and depending on how you look, how much you're going to sacrifice in those few days leading up, like where you're going to get that energy from to do it.
The Weight Room Podcast is proud to be partnered with Prime Science, our new sponsor and a trailblazer in health technology. Prime Science is dedicated to pushing the boundaries of what's possible in health and fitness through extensive research and scientific validation. Their products are a testament to their commitment to safe, scientifically backed health optimization. To learn more about how Prime Science is redefining fitness with valid science, visit primescience.co.uk. Join us in embracing a future where fitness meets rigorous scientific practice with Prime Science. This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout. And so, because you coached yourself for a while there, where did you get the information to that, like you added on to the bodybuilding side, the physique side, the prep side? Where did you get that information from?
Just online, just purely just sitting at home, researching it, figuring out. I obviously like researched like what fitness was, what the credentials were that you need to like to be a pro. So I understood the whole routine aspect of it, and I knew that that was 2/3 of my scoring. But even before getting my pro card, like it was just based on your routine. So like that was just an easy peasy. I can do that. So getting to the pro level, it was just like, okay, like 1/3 is based off my physique. What are they looking for? And then that's when I did more research on figure, because they look very, very, very similar. Slight difference in conditioning at certain competitions, but more or less like that's what I'm building towards. So it just came down to researching really just nutrition. That was it. Just how my body was reacting to different, how I would eat a lot more and slowly cut. Like for me, the biggest learning curve, yeah, it was just not overkilling yourself with that. Like, and it's hard when you're doing it yourself. It's like setting up, okay, this many calories, these are my macros. I'll cut this little bit. I do my check-in photos like anyone else would on the weekend, and I would see like, I have no idea, or like you'd be particularly critical on yourself or something, maybe one week. And so that's when I had started a prep for Arnold's, and it went, no, that was prior to. It was my beginning of my prep for my pro card is where I decided I was not going to be doing any of the crazy steady state. Like it just wasn't going to be useful towards like my routine. So I was like, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not going to kill myself, overexert myself. I'd be getting my training and do my routines. And it was just like HIIT training to help promote like me having the ability to be doing this overly exerting routine. But I just really set a boundary for myself that like I'm not gonna cut my calories too low that I'm ruining my body at the end. Yeah. I guess just doing some research online, figuring it out as I go, how I'm reacting to different stuff, how going just literally following it and seeing how I do.
Gotcha. And because you were kind of seeing how things were going as you were going, and especially during prep, you mentioned like you might be more critical or you might be less critical in a given week. How did you try to manage the criticalness? Like, how did you try to manage your mind, I guess, getting in the way of like maybe what reality was? Did you have any measures in place to be like, I'm not going to go crazy if I look at my body and I see something that probably isn't there? Like, how am I going to manage that, I guess?
I mean, it was just that basic, uh, like I've always been like health over anything else. So it's just like at the end, I was just like, oh, like I might not come in as lean as I particularly like should be at this point or something. And it was like, I'm not going to overdo any cardio. I'm not going to cut a bunch of calories at the end. Like it's really about my overall health and how I'm going to perform. Like that was probably my biggest boundary I set for myself, regardless of if I wasn't feeling quite ready for, maybe not conditioned enough, because obviously my physique is where I was Symmetry, not bad, but just conditioning, right? Coming in ready for that. And I obviously that 16-hour delay and crying and not eating and whatnot did not set me up for Tampa, but still managed to do really well, which I was happy with. But yeah, I just say throughout the whole prep was just setting a boundary for myself that even if I'm not ready here, I'm not going to go crazy and like drop a bunch of calories or add in like this much more cardio, because that was just, I just saw it as counterintuitive at that point for just overall performance. So yeah, I'd
That's
say that was
actually
probably the biggest thing. It's just maintain my overall well-being and health through
yeah.
it.
Did you have any techniques or anything, I guess maybe even from your gymnastic days, that helped you to keep your mind right as far as like being in the moment? You know, we're here, we're competing, whether it be at your first show or first pro show or whatever. I think there's definitely nerves associated with any show.
I would say that's something that I was just pretty used to. Like I remember in gymnastics, you'd come out from behind the curtain and then they would call your name and you'd have to go out. And even just at a young age doing that, like you feel sick to your stomach, like having to go out and you just have to put a smile on and like do it. Like put the smile on. If you're faking it, like they don't know the difference. You eventually won't know the difference. Um, I definitely, I'd say for the first couple bodybuilding shows, like it's definitely a lot of nerves. But when it came to the pro shows, I was just excited. Like really, like it's like it's we did all this work, we got here, I'm shaky, and like I didn't even really know anyone at the Tampa Pro, so I was like, whatever, like just go and have fun. Like I definitely like I enjoyed that show the most, and probably for that, like I was just getting to do my thing. Yeah, routine aspect, I was just excited to go out always. Posing, I would say a little bit more nervous, but honestly, I was just excited to get there out there and just do it. Um, I guess I'd have so many times where I'd be so nervous to go out and do it. Like I was just like, we did all this, we're here, go out and have some fun.
Is there a different kind of feeling when you're going out to perform and you're having some nerves, even if those nerves are just excitement and ready to go nerves, versus the feeling and the nerves of going out and pose or going out and posing?
For sure. Yeah. The posing is forcing yourself to slow down, like walking out. Okay, don't walk too fast. Okay, remember like whatever poses I had picked that I'm gonna do for like your individual time you had to go out there. I'd say the more individual time was like where you're really thinking like calm down, like trying to control like you're shaking while you're posing and stuff. But then also keeping the smile on and keeping it smooth because I like to treat like the posing like almost like a routine, right? Like you're trying to keep it smooth, almost ballerina like, composed. So I would, you know, keep that little bit of excitement there, but like more, I would say you're more focused because it's like you're not like on, you're not on a music like on time key this and this. It's like all in your head. And you're like, okay, come out here, try to count this much time on this pose, and then not shaking or tripping and then walking off. And then I'd say when you're side by side, at least like it's just you're just standing there waiting for the comparison, like holding it, holding the smile. That at least is like you're up there with other people. So
Yeah.
oh, and you're just like, whew, for me at least.
Is there something you do to kind of like make those mental transitions from kind of one feeling to the next?
Well, luckily for that, like the posing and then the routines, like there's usually hours in between, right?
Mhm.
So you get to go deload from that, relax, get the bikini off, put your costume on, like eat, fuel up. But it for me, like that's just like where the excitement happens. Like you got the posing done, okay, you can relax. You get a little bit excited. I get to put my costume on because I handmade my costume for that show too. So it's like, whoo, put this on. And like that's just where like everything I was excited for gets to come out and I get to like put on my show pretty much. So there's not really anything other than like I put my music on and I do a lot of like visualization like training. So I just put my routine music in and I'll just sit there and I can run through my routine in my head. And like I understand like this, that's when I'll smile. And it's just like repetitiveness essentially at that point. And then just yeah, going out and having fun when I step out on stage.
What's your current and then maybe future like plans just in general, whether it be for bodybuilding or fitness or anything like that?
Well, currently, since like during COVID, when that kind of all went through, that's when I picked up the hobby of Olympic weightlifting. It's something I kind of was like, it's like fun. And now I've really picked up like the art of it and I really enjoy it, really loving it. And like went to nationals recently and I was fourth in the country and actually picking up a coach hopefully this week. And I want to be Team Canada essentially. That's my end goal with that. And then when I've done that, then I go back to bodybuilding. Um, yeah, I just got a few things on my roster that I'm just like checking off essentially. So that's definitely like my goal for the next little bit, but I still keep up all my gymnastics training and I still have like a lot of fun with it. And like when I get the odd like spark of like inspiration for a routine, like I definitely like jot it down for like future routines. Because I have to be very like very inspired by like something or drawn by an emotion to whatever I want to create the routine around more or less. Like that's what pulls me into it. Like that's my whole reason for like getting so deep into it. But once I follow this out with the weightlifting, I do want to get back into it, especially after watching Taylor from Toronto at the Olympia recently. Yeah, just like gives you like so much inspiration. It's like, okay, like a killer routine can do really well, right? Without me needing to be, yeah, because I'd have to put on quite a bit of size right now. Fairly lean, but need to put my size back on to compete. So, but as for future, I mean, yeah, I'd probably give it a year or two, and then I still imagine myself being able to do probably even harder skills at that point with the strength that I've gained, which is great. Um, and yeah, it just comes down to whatever inspires me routine wise, and then I'll dive back into it.
Canadian fitness in general, like the division is seems like there's so many really great athletes up there. It certainly is great to have people on like yourself who, continue to shed light on the division and bring that awareness to what it is and just the possibilities that are fitness. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If you want to share any socials or anything like that before we head out, you can.
Well, I guess my Instagram, catbionic.ifbb pro. I still keep it up there, pro bodybuilder. I'm coming back to it. I just doing all my international sports and have a checklist of sports I just want to be Team Canada for. So
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.